All right, so today we're going to really take a deep dive into the world of Ubisoft.
Okay.
You know, um, as you know, they're a company known for some pretty iconic gaming franchises.
Right.
And I think you're particularly interested in understanding kind of what missteps they've made along the way and, maybe where they could potentially, step away from some of their more formulaic designs
Yeah.
and get back to some more creative, game development.
Hmm.
And there's this really interesting Fast Company article that I think lays it all out really well.
Okay.
It's titled, What in the World is Going On at Ubisoft?
Interesting.
And basically, Ubisoft is in a pretty tough spot right now.
Yeah, I've heard some rumblings.
Yeah, there are a lot of rumors circulating about, a potential buyout.
Hmm.
And a lot of that chatter really stems from some of the challenges that they've been facing recently.
Right. Well, it's funny because Ubisoft has this incredible portfolio of franchises.
Oh, yeah.
When you think about it,
Yeah.
you've got Assassin's Creed, the Rabbids, Prince of Persia,
Oh, yeah.
Watch Dogs. They even have these licensed properties
Wow.
like Tom Clancy, Uno, even South Park.
It's kind of amazing when you list it all out like that.
Right. It's impressive.
Yeah, it really is.
But despite all of that, their stock has taken a nosedive.
Oh, wow.
We're talking down 44% just this year,
Oh, my God.
and a whopping 78% over the past 5 years.
Wow, those are some pretty serious numbers.
Yeah.
So what exactly has been going wrong?
Well,
This article seems to point to the recent Star Wars Outlaws release as, kind of a major disappointment.
yeah, I think Outlaws really missed the mark for a lot of players.
Right.
Yeah, you see some common complaints.
Like what?
People are saying the combat's repetitive,
Oh.
the stealth mechanics feel really clunky, and a lot of people are saying they're too similar to Assassin's Creed.
Interesting.
And then on top of all of that, you've got the $40 season pass.
Oh, yeah?
That's on top of the initial game price.
Right.
So, yeah, not exactly what fans were hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, a $40 season pass does feel a bit steep these days,
Yeah,
on top of the game price.
totally.
Yeah.
And actually, along with that,
Yeah.
both Outlaws and the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows have been hit with this wave of negative reviews.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what some are calling review bombing.
Review bombing. Can you explain a little bit more about what that means and why it's happening?
Yeah, so essentially some players are leaving these negative reviews
Okay.
en masse, but their criticism isn't necessarily about the gameplay itself.
Well,
It's more about what they perceive as a forced diversity and inclusion narrative within the game, and this has actually sparked a lot of debate.
I can imagine.
It's even caught the attention of Elon Musk.
Really?
Yeah, he even commented on it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So with all this negativity surrounding these recent releases, how does it tie into the buyout rumors that are circulating?
Well, when a company's stock takes a hit like this,
Yeah.
especially after some high-profile disappointments, it can make them a much more attractive target
Correct.
for acquisition.
So it makes them look a little bit vulnerable.
Exactly. And, Ubisoft's actually faced this before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they fended off Electronic Arts back
Uh-huh.
in 2004 and then Vivendi in 2015.
So they've kind of been down this road before.
Yeah, exactly. And this time around, the rumors are pointing to Tencent
Oh, wow.
and the Guillemot family,
Hmm.
which actually includes Ubisoft's current CEO, Yves Guillemot,
Oh, wow.
as potential players.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Ubisoft has actually released a statement
Oh, really?
acknowledging these rumors, emphasizing their commitment to their stakeholders,
Okay.
but they're playing their cards pretty close to the chest about what the future holds.
Interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, makes you wonder about the future of some of Ubisoft's, really iconic franchises.
Oh, totally, like Assassin's Creed.
Exactly, like where do those games go from here,
Yeah.
given the current climate?
Right. And, I think looking at the bigger picture, the gaming landscape has become so incredibly competitive these days.
It really has.
You've got these smaller indie studios that are putting out these really innovative titles, and they're really capturing the imaginations of players.
Yeah, and they have a lot more, flexibility
Oh,
to
yeah,
take
yeah.
risks
Right.
without the weight of expectation.
Yeah.
That comes with a big established franchise.
Right. And, thinking about some of Ubisoft's older franchises, like Prince of Persia,
Mhm.
it feels like they've been relying on the same formulas
Yeah.
for too long.
Yeah.
They have this amazing back catalog,
Mm.
but It's almost like they're afraid to stray from what they know.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of players are picking up on, that sense of staleness and
Yeah.
predictability.
Yeah.
It's pushing them towards these newer, fresher
Right.
experiences.
It's not just about nostalgia.
No.
It's about the excitement of discovering something new
Right.
and unexpected.
Absolutely. And today's gamers have so many choices.
Yeah, that's true.
To stay relevant, Ubisoft has to offer something truly unique,
Yeah.
something that sets them apart.
So how did they do that?
Well,
How can they rediscover that spark, that magic that made them such a powerhouse in the industry?
I think a good place to start would be, really listening to their players,
Okay.
not just acknowledging feedback,
Mm-hmm.
but really engaging with the community,
Yeah.
understanding their frustrations,
Ah.
understanding what they're craving in a game.
So tapping into that passion and that knowledge that their
Yes,
dedicated players have.
exactly. It's about finding that balance
Okay.
between honoring the legacy of their franchises while infusing them with fresh ideas.
Yeah.
New mechanics, compelling narratives.
Right.
Think about what made those games so successful in the first place and build on that foundation, but don't be afraid to experiment and evolve.
That makes a lot of sense. But I imagine it's easier said than done,
Mhm.
especially for a company as large as Ubisoft.
It definitely won't be easy.
Yeah.
It'll require a real shift in mindset from the developers to the executives.
Right.
But imagine the possibilities if they can pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, this could be a turning point for them.
It could.
This whole buyout situation, while potentially disruptive, could actually be the catalyst for a much-needed reinvention.
It's definitely a possibility,
Yeah.
whether it's Tencent, the Guillemot family, or, another entity altogether. A change in leadership could bring in some fresh perspectives and the boldness to really shake things up.
So for our listener who's specifically interested in Ubisoft's need to move away from formulaic game design, what are the key takeaways here?
Yeah, it really sounds like they're at a crucial point,
Yeah,
where they need to really take stock of, their creative direction.
absolutely.
They have this incredible legacy, but they're also facing this pressure to really innovate and
Right.
evolve.
And it's interesting, this really gets to the heart of, the concerns you had about their reliance on formulaic game design.
Yeah. Because you see, when a studio finds success with a certain formula,
Right.
there's this temptation to stick with what works,
Right.
even if it leads to stagnation over time.
And it makes sense from a business perspective.
Absolutely.
But, in a creative industry like gaming,
Yeah.
that approach can really backfire,
Right.
especially with players who are hungry for those fresh experiences.
Exactly. And that's where the risk comes in.
Right.
Breaking away from those established formulas.
Yeah.
Trying something new can be scary,
Yeah.
but it's often where the most groundbreaking and memorable games come from.
So what would it look like, for Ubisoft to embrace that kind of creative risk-taking?
I mean, I think for starters, they could really empower their developers to experiment more, to
Okay.
pitch new ideas that might seem a little unconventional instead of focusing on churning out sequels
Mhm.
that adhere to this strict formula. Maybe they could explore new genres, new gameplay mechanics, new ways of telling stories within their existing franchises.
So it's about recapturing that spirit of innovation
Yes.
that made them such a force, in the first place.
Exactly. I mean, think back to the early days of Assassin's Creed or Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Those games were successful because they brought something fresh and exciting to the table.
Yeah.
Ubisoft needs to find a way to tap back into that energy.
It would be amazing to see them take, these beloved franchises
Mhm.
in bold new directions.
Yeah.
But ultimately, whether they embrace that creative risk-taking or not,
Right.
it's a decision that only Ubisoft can make.
Yeah, that's true. But one thing is for sure. The future of Ubisoft and whether they remain a major player in the gaming world hinges on their willingness to adapt, to evolve, and recapture that spark of creativity that made them so successful in the first place.
Well, it's been a fascinating deep dive into the challenges and possibilities facing Ubisoft. Hopefully this has given you a better understanding of their current situation and what the future might hold for this gaming giant. Thanks for joining us. And remember, the most exciting games are often the ones that dare to break the mold.